This video will show you how to export the fields needed to send down to the transportation department for bus transportation. We're going to start where we always start, and that's at our main Qualtrics page. I'm going to go up here to my projects, and as usual, mine's going to be a little bit different because I'm in a training environment here, which is separate from my active registration environment. So your location, your survey, or your forms might be slightly different than mine. So just sort of adapt that to how you set it up. So I'm going to go to my projects. And for you guys, maybe you're in your GSPOC registration using your registration form, like mine right here. Because I'm in a testing environment, I'm going to be using this fake one that we built in the live training. So I can get some good data out of it. It's possible that you won't be able to do these steps until after you've collected information from students. And that's because if there's no data, there's no fields to sort. So you kind of come back to this once students have responded to your survey. But I'm going to show you the basics here. So I'm going to go into my registration survey. Again, you'll be using your active one, your real one. And I'm going to go to the data and analysis bar up here. And we're going to see a lot of flipping between screens in this video, and that's because I've got some stuff I want to refer to. You can write it down for your own use, but right here, data and analysis is where I'm going to go. And what I'm presented with is a mess. Qualtrics doesn't really, it can't read your mind, and so it doesn't quite know what to give you as far as fields are concerned. And so we've got just a mess of information. And so we want to make this make some sense. So we're going to have to edit these columns in here and make them, say, want to make them. A quick note, these little gray corners, this means that I've edited this data. That's using the edit button and then clicking in and adjusting it. And that's because this was real student data and real people data, and so I went in there to protect privacy and just chopped it all up. So that's why that's there. You probably won't have these unless you need to go in and edit one of these entries. Maybe a family calls you and says, hey, we made a mistake, can you fix this for me? So let's look at, very quickly, the fields that we will need. Is this what transportation said that they want from us? And we're looking at, ignore this, we're looking at these pieces of information right here. So student name, student ID, home address with zip, elementary campus, middle campus, transportation needs, AM, PM, AM only, PM only. So what we're going to export them is slightly different from this, but it's going to have the same information. We're going to give them morning, afternoon, and then no transportation required. But the rest of it's going to be pretty much the same. And we're going to add one more field to this, and we're going to add this field, not for them, for us, in WSD boundaries. Okay, because that's going to be helpful for us when we want to sort and export this data properly. So I'm going to flip back over here. We're going to see that this mess does not reflect this nice pretty list that we got from transportation. So how do we do this? Well, let's start by getting rid of what we don't need. We don't need this. We do want name, right? That's on the list. We're just left clicking and hiding. We really don't need grade. Hide it. Everett Fort Worth ISD, that's a question about, their academic history. We don't want that one. We want their city. We want their home middle school. We want their zip code. In district, we don't need this one. I'll show you what we're going to use. Hide the column. So now it's pretty empty. It's pretty lonely around here. So we need to add some stuff. So let's go back. Okay, we got the name in there. We need the student ID. Okay, so between the columns, click the plus sign. And you've got so much info. There's a list in the SharePoint documentation site that tells you what all of these things mean. But we're going to go here to get the embedded data, and we're going to click on perm number. Boop. You'll see that not everybody has one. That's because some of these are not existing FWSD students, right? These are perm numbers for the people who said they were Fort Worth ISD students, and these are, if these were real students, these are fake, obviously, but these would be in focus. And so we wanted the perm number. We wanted the address, right? So we're going to click in here, and we're going to get this embedded data called address. It's going to pull them all in. And for our out-of-district kids, when they fill out their form, it's going to map to this field. So you can use address for everybody. Okay, we want city. Obviously, we want state. Unless they're commuting in from Oklahoma, it should all be the same, but state. And then zip code. Okay, so that's what he said, right? We've got student name, student ID, in Fort Worth ISD boundaries, we'll add that. That one, we need elementary and middle, so let's go double check. We've got middle, let's add elementary, and that's going to be way down here. It's going to be called home LM. So home elementary, home middle, and then he said we wanted bus times. Okay, we got that. So the one that we haven't gotten here is this inside Fort Worth ISD boundaries one. And I'm going to put this one first, and we're going to reorganize this in a minute, but I'm going to put this one first because that's a column we're not going to send to transportation. We're going to use that internally in attendance boundaries, in at boundaries it's called. Okay, so obviously because this is a fake set of data, these aren't going to be real. Like if this kid's in focus, chances are the kid, most likely the kid's in the attendance boundaries, whatever. So you know, don't take this as a real sampling of data, but you can get a good idea that it's telling us quite a bit of information and the stuff that we need to know. So now let's put it in the right order. Okay, so we want student name first, and again, I'm going to move this to the top because that's going to make my life easier when I have to sort this stuff. So student name, okay, last first. I always want last first, always easier. Student ID number, okay, so I got that perm number here. They don't exist if they're out of the district, right? Address including zip, okay, address, city, state. Oh, zip code's way over here, so let's move it. We can't drag and drop. Left click, move left. Left click, move left. Okay, city, state, zip, done. Elementary campus, middle campus, elementary campus, middle campus, and then bus times. So these are the things that we want showing. These are the fields that we want showing here. And if yours doesn't look like this, then, you know, always click that plus sign and then you're going to find it. And it needs to be these fields, right? So make sure maybe the QID is different on yours. That's possible. But this name right here, this like in at boundaries or home LM or home middle or bus times, that will be the same. The QID might be different, but this little word right here, that's going to be the same for everybody. And that's going to help you sort this. So now I've got these here. All right, so a couple things I'm going to do. First of all, I want to save this layout. So I'm going to go to my tools, far right hand side, and really easily I can go to save layouts. And I'm going to create a new layout, and I'm going to call it transportation. I'm going to save it. Now, you can do this with any kinds of layouts you want. I really encourage you to do that. So if you want to have all your out-of-district kids and their information, you can save that layout. All your in-district, save that layout. That's totally something that you can do. And this stays within this survey. And it's very easy to look at those layouts, right? So you can look at that layout here, click on it, right? But now that layout is saved. So now how do I get this information out of here? I'm going to click on export, export data. We want an Excel file, right? Unless you want a CSV or TSV, it's up to you, but we probably want an Excel file. If you click on download all fields, it will download all the fields that it has, which is going to be way overkill for this. So I'm going to unselect. I don't want to download all fields because I just want these fields behind me. That's the point of doing this. If I click on more options, I really recommend that you turn off compressed data as zip file because this is going to be a small number of records and that's just going to be annoying. It's not end of the world if you keep it that way. It's just going to give you a zip file with an Excel file inside of it, but it's unnecessary. So I'm going to uncheck that and then I'm going to hit download. It does take a moment. So now it's done. It's going to ask me if I want to save it, and yeah, I do. So now let's open that file. It's an ugly file name, but I'm going to open that file. And here's what I get, nice and pretty. I'll zoom in for you. So there it is, there's my data. That's what I'm going to send over to transportation. But maybe I want to remove some things here. For example, maybe I want to remove all students who are not in the attendance boundaries. So I can just filter and remove those kids, okay? Maybe I want to remove this column entirely because they don't, if it's all yeses, they don't care, right? Or I want to remove that recorded date. So let's go do that real quick just to be, I don't want any of the kids that are outside of the attendance boundaries, right? Okay, so that's done. And then I might not want any of these columns. Okay, that's done. So now that you've got a nice, clean file here, this is what you can send over to Transportation Department. And there you go. Thanks.